This was a decision voted by the British people.
It was a mistake, and people are changing their minds.
When you lie to people, you steal their vote from them because they believe you, and that is not democracy. If we look at why interest rates are rising, again, Governor of the Bank of England said 2 reasons. One is energy prices that are spiralling. The second is, I quote, a tight labour market. Why do we have a tight labour market?
Brexit, the elephant doing a dump in the room.
It is the elephant, but at the same time, it is what the British people voted for.
By a small margin.
By a small margin, but it's still what they voted for. And we still have, as a country, we still have a duty to honour that vote.
Now, let me tell you one fascinating thing about...
What do you mean honour what? It was a legal referendum.
The Tory party themselves can't agree what Brexit they want.
And neither can Labour, as it happens.
No, I think actually in Labour, it breaks my heart to see them actually toe this line because they don't want the right-wing press to just jump.
No, but I know, and this is the thing. I don't agree with that because I think the Labour Party know the way in which they are going to get back in power. If they're going to get back in power, they need to appeal to those red wall seats. And what did those red wall seats all vote for? They voted for Brexit. They wanted Brexit.
I agree.
And actually, I will
done on that very narrow margin. Do you know what they voted for? If you look at
I know Scotland voted to remain overwhelmingly. I know that.
An academic like Matthew Goodwin, no Marxist he, and he did his word cloud showing why people voted for Brexit. What was the biggest word in there?
Sovereignty, wasn't it?
What does sovereignty mean?
The control of our borders.
Immigration.
And there is a migration crisis as it happens at the
That's
moment.
what they were bothered about, and that is the button that those people were pushing all the time.
Immigration.
That was the
But as it happens, there is still a problem with immigration.
There may be
with illegal migration.
But running your trade, your entire trade policy on the basis of racism isn't going to work out.
No, but it's not based on racism. It's based on the right to choose who can actually come into our country. It's the right to control our borders.
Control of our borders. It meant we withdrew from the Dublin Agreement, which means we can't send people back when they don't successfully claim asylum. And it also meant, if you look at our numbers, they are actually growing and growing and growing because we've ruined our relationship with the French. So actually, we didn't take back control of our borders. And also, what's been highlighted several times is we could have done all of this, controlling of our borders, when we were in the EU.
No, we wouldn't have. They wouldn't absolutely have not agreed to the terms that this country would have wanted to have done.
A couple of things. I don't think it's helpful, Mr. Dump in the Room, that you say the word racism.
Yeah, absolutely not.
I believe that those people who were genuinely worried about their wages going down as a result of freedom of movement, which is the thing we couldn't control whilst in the EU. I don't believe that's racism.
I see what the European Union are like, and I see why people
the European
voted
Union
Brexit.
is a nice trade organisation full of smart people, and their economies are doing better than ours. Why is that? Because it's a great big free trade area, it's the biggest in the world. And we voted to leave it on foolish grounds.
No, but people saw the European Parliament, people saw the unelected bureaucrats from all the other countries, and they didn't want that. They didn't want that.
What Lord Frost, who is he? Who elected
What was Dominic
Lord
Cummings?
Frost?
Dominic Cummings was central to this,
Yes,
and very clever in his very peculiar way he was too.
And so we now have government by people who go to Specsavers in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, sorry. I'm reduced to barking. It is barking mad. The problem that Rishi Sunak has got is Brexit. Brexit is tanking the British economy, and it's the reason why the pound is suffering, and that's the reason why the Bank of England is raising interest rates, and we're in a jam. The jam, our difficulty stops.
But then what's the alternative? Come on, we're on the table. What is actually the alternative? Because the alternative currently is Keir Starmer, who is towing the Brexit line. This was a decision voted by the British people, and we as a country are obligated to honour that democratic decision as voted for by the majority.
However, it wasn't a popular majority. It was just the majority of the people who voted in the referendum, number one point. Number 2 point is it was a mistake, and people are changing their minds big time. So all the polling says it's not starting to shift; it's shifted, and so there is a big majority. But I would have a new vote, and it would be an educated vote this time because now we know the cost of Brexit, and it keeps on going up. But the moment we rejoin, then our economy gets back into the European Union.
And also, dare I mention the V word here? Vaccines. And what the European Union did at the time to the AstraZeneca vaccine and to vaccines in our country as well.
No,
the way they trashed that. And can we just appreciate that if it wasn't for Brexit, we wouldn't have had the speed of the vaccine rollout that we would have had in this country.
That's not true, Josh. It's been disproved so many times, and I don't know why you would.
It's part of the Boris mythology.
Yeah, it's a shame, really. I'd expect better in conversation than that.
If I was giving you media management advice, I'd just suggest you should drink more scotch and get your voice a bit lower before you use the V word. Like that, it doesn't make sense. It's not.
Can I just add the thing, and I hate this thing. It's the democratic vote, and Peter Oborne touches upon this in his book, The Assault on Truth. Democracy is stolen. Your vote is stolen from you when they lie to you. Now, if you look at some of the things that were put out there as, you'll get Brexit and the sunlit uplands and 350 million per week for the NHS and everything else, it's going to be this utopia. You would walk into the NHS hospital, it'd be like going into a spa. I'm surprised more people didn't vote for it. When you lie to people, you steal their vote from them because they believe you, and that is not democracy.
And I do understand the voters up and down the country that do have concerns over sovereignty, that do have concerns over borders, and we see this in the migration crisis and how much this is actually angering both red wall voters at the moment and also homegrown Tory voters as well. And that's also
when you grip the alternative and you see that we're in an economic downward spiral that we don't seem to get out of because Brexit is incredibly expensive, then you look at the other thing at the other side of it and go, you know what? We were better inside the European Union, and we could argue with our European friends and say, listen, we need to fix this in a serious way.